What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. All right, so before I get into the video, I want to give a shout out to a couple of subscribers for showing love. Shout out to the brother Aram, once again coming through with the donation to the channel via the PayPal. Much respect to you for showing love. Saw your video request. Go take care of that this weekend. All right. Also want to give a shout out to the man, the myth, the legend, the brother Robert Mason coming through with the $20 donation via the PayPal. He says, gotta clean this up. Kendrick's dumbass must align with that zesty Boulay Martin liars, another banana in the tailpipe moment. It's not your opinion, Too Raw / encyclopedia. It's a nickname he has for me. It's fact. Hakeem would smoke Joker. Yeah. I you know, at the end of the day, that's about politics. It's about appeasing the fan bases. These guys talk to their bosses. Okay? They talk to their bosses before they come on air. And they, a lot of people leave ESPN, or should I say BSPN. They leave these sports networks because they want to give their opinion, whereas their opinion on these networks are manipulated. They probably kind of compromise a little bit with their boss, but they're not giving their real opinions. Because like I said, Joker wasn't even on his top 5 2 years ago. Now all of a sudden he's number 1. Steve Nash is gone. And everybody that's on the list are people that have definite fan bases. Gone is Tony Parker. But anyway, we know what time it is for that. So, in football, I told you guys I'm going to try to talk about this a little bit more. Unfortunately, and I'm going to try to say his name, okay? That's why when people refer to this guy, they say Tua. I got to get used to pronouncing it this way, okay? Because I'm looking at it, I want to say Tua Tagovailoa. But apparently his name is Tua Tagovailoa. Man, that's hard to fucking pronounce, man. Just, consistently. That takes a lot of repetition. Man, what's up with these names today, man? I keep getting messages. People say I'm butchering Aja Wilson's as Ajva. Look, man, where's the V at? Where's all these invisible vowels that I'm not seeing? I'm not pronouncing Paige Booker's name right. It's probably Becker's, I guess. I guess it's Becker's, even though there's a fucking U in it. What happened to these last names like Johnson, Smith? Good, clean American names. Get your ass on the bus. But anyway, in last night's game against the Bills, a 31-10 victory for my Bills, Dolphins quarterback Tua Tagovailoa suffered another concussion, the third concussion that he has suffered officially in the past 2 years, though technically you could argue he's had 4. Because opening night, well, not opening night, but technically last Thursday was opening, but last Sunday they played, I believe it was the Bengals. And although it was said that he had a back injury, he went down briefly and got back up. I'm not a medical doctor, okay? Don't profess to be. But according to many experts, doctors who observed him, I'm talking about doctors, not me, doctors. That's right, 2017 victory for Dolphins. They said that he showed symptoms then of suffering a concussion, but the team may have tried to cover it up or whatever the case may be. There are many people who are now calling for Tua Tagovailoa to retire. Doctors, former players, current players. Just saw a current player just said that he think he need to retire. sports personalities, pundits, they're calling for him to retire. Now, this is his resume. He's been with the Miami Dolphins since 2020, and he was the 5th overall pick in the first round from Alabama. 6'1", 225 pounds. Tua's resume is impressive in his young career. Last year, he made the Pro Bowl for the first time. He was the passing yards leader in the NFL last year. He led the NFL in passer rating back in 2022. And he has a career 66.8% completion percentage, 83 career touchdowns versus just 40 interceptions, and over 13,000 passing yards, and a 96.4 career passer rating. So he definitely was on a trajectory, or is, well, I say was because I don't know what his career is going to end up being, but he was definitely on that trajectory for Hall of Fame status. But you look at his injury history, and it is very, very extensive. Let's see if I can pull that up. So back in 2018, during the offseason, and I think this led to him missing some games in the preseason, I guess. He suffered a left hand finger injury. Fine, that's kind of I can say that's nothing, but that happens. Then October 19, 2019, he suffered a right high ankle sprain. The next month, he suffered a right hip fracture dislocation. Had to have surgery. Had to have surgery on the 2 prior injuries as well. The left high ankle sprain in 2018 and the right high ankle sprain in 2019. Then in November of 2020, he suffered a left thumb UCL sprain. September 19, 2021, rib fracture, a punctured lung. 2 months later, November 3rd of that same year, a left finger fracture. September 25th, 2022 is when he suffered the concussion, the first one. All right, so I take that back. He's actually had 4 official concussions. I take that back, 4. September 25th, 2022, he suffered his first concussion. 4 days later, so I'm assuming one of these games was a Thursday game, if it's only a 4-day difference. He suffered another concussion, the second of his career. December that year, an ankle sprain. Then, Christmas Day of 2022, he suffered another concussion, his third. December 31st of last year, he suffered a left shoulder sprain. And then yesterday, he suffered what was officially his 4th concussion. But some people think that might have been his 5th concussion, because some people think he suffered a concussion against the Bengals. As we've gone through the evidence, the body of evidence, we've seen the body of evidence over the last couple of years. We now know, due to the efforts of Dr. Bennett Amalu, about the dangers of concussions and head injuries leading to CTE. And I think that stands for chronic traumatic encephalopathy. I think that's what it stands for. And we've seen many athletes suffer from that. As a matter of fact, if I'm not mistaken, I think the majority of football players at some point in time suffer from CTE. That's why you're seeing more and more of these guys playing for like 4 or 5 years and getting out of the game. Okay. And we've seen what has happened to a multitude of players that have suffered from CTE, which can only be definitively diagnosed at an autopsy. You can't see it. You can suspect it from people's behaviors, but there's been multiple people who have suffered from CTE, which has been confirmed in autopsy. Dave Durison, Junior Seau, Ken Stabler, although he died of colon cancer, he had CTE. Aaron Hernandez had CTE. Andre Waters, Mike Webster, who I think is the famous center for all those years with the Pittsburgh Steelers. He was the first famous football player, maybe in person, to be definitively diagnosed with CTE. Bubba Smith of the Police Academy movies, played football but became an entertainment personality. He suffered from CTE. John Mackey, the Hall of Famer of Baltimore. What franchise is that? I think they were the Colts at the time, the Baltimore Colts. He suffered from CTE. Frank Gifford suffered from CTE, although that developed later in his life. Chris Henry. So it's definitely something there, man. The thing about this, though, is athletes are by nature a little bit crazy. Okay, to play football, to slam your body into another human being, you got to be a little crazy, just like with boxing. You got to be a little crazy to participate in these types of sports. And Ryan Clark recently said something I agree with, is that athletes are by definition selfish. Because you're playing a sport that you're constantly putting your body at risk, right? And this is an activity, a sport that they have been playing many times since they were kids. That's all they know, right? And many of them can't envision themselves doing something outside of football. Now, many of them can walk away, but some athletes, as we've seen before in history, they have a hard time walking away. Muhammad Ali was one. Even though he didn't have CTE, he did have Parkinson's. Me personally, considering that this is his fourth official concussion and possibly his fifth, I think he should walk away. Absolutely. Absolutely. There may be a strategy for him to play out this contract and then retire. But when you see this susceptibility to concussions that he has, I think that he should retire. Look, this is why you never really heard me complain too much about the softening of rules in the NFL. I know from a fan perspective, you like the hard-hitting, bone-charring hits, bone-jarring hits of back in the day, and I love it too. But when you learn the price that these athletes have to pay for participating in this sport, so many football players, even boxers, from repetitive head injuries, suffer from CTE, dementia. Has anybody else noticed what's what I'm looking for? Has anyone else noticed the high propensity, a disproportionate amount of football players who suffer from ALS? And I think there's something to the head injury trauma aspect of that for that. You know what I mean? These guys make so much money, man, so it's going to be hard for these guys to just walk away. The money is part of it, the love of the game, the addiction to let's be honest, the fame, the lifestyle. But when you're playing here now, when you're not symptomatic, because a lot of times brain injuries take years and sometimes decades to show up and manifest itself as far as effects on your brain, you may be tempted to play and continue in the game. And then, when you're getting advice from doctors and one doctor tell you to quit, another doctor tell you, because you don't like what he's saying, you wait for that one doctor to tell you, oh, well, I think that you can play safely. You're going to go with that doctor because they're giving you false hope. Perhaps false hope. So in my opinion, I think you should walk away from the game. I really do. because I don't want to see this guy deteriorate. You know what I'm saying? We've seen this happen to so many good guys, so many good players, and boxers too. You know what I'm saying? So that's my opinion, at least. But tell me what you guys think.